Hello everyone, I am Pratima Harka. Today I am going to deliver a short presentation regarding the topic of instillation and irrigation of eye, ear, nose and throat. Let us discuss some parts of eye. The eye is an organ of sight. It is situated in the orbital cavity and supplied by the optic nerve. There are three layers of tissue in the wall of the eye. The outer fibrous layer, which is known as sclera and cornea, the middle vascular layer consisting of the choroid, ciliary body and iris, and the inner nervous tissue layer, which is known as retina. Let's move towards the ear. The ear is the organ of hearing and is also involved in balance. The ear is divided into the three distinct parts: outer ear, middle ear and inner ear. Outer ear consisting auricle, which is known as pinna. Second one is external acoustic meters, which is known as auditory canal. Third one is middle ear and last one is auditory ossicle. Let's move towards the nose. The nose is a sense of smell or olfaction, which originates in the nasal cavity, which also acts as a passageway for respiration. There are various parts of nose, such as external meters, external nostrils, septum, nasal passage, sinuses, ethmoid sinus, maxillary sinus, frontal sinus. Last one is sphenoid sinus. Let's move towards the throat. The throat is a ring-like muscular tube. It is a passageway for air, food and liquid. It also helps in forming the speech. The throat is made up of voice box, larynx, epiglottis and last one is tonsil and adenoids. We have discussed about the some parts of eye, ear, nose and throat. Now let's discuss about eye irrigation and instillation. We will introduce the topic. An irrigation is the washing or flushing of an area using a large volume of fluid in order to clean, to apply heat or cold, or to apply the medication. That means before administering any medication, we will use some various solutions that might be in liquid form or in solid form. For washing the eye, mostly we will use the liquid form. Second one, sterile water, saline or antiseptic solution which are used for irrigation of the eye, ear, throat, vagina and urinary tract. It requires either sterile or a clean technique. Antiseptic solution, that means these are the solution which are used to prevent the growth of bacteria in that area, and for this procedure we use sterile or a clean technique. That means the germs free technique which prevents the infection in that area. Definition: an eye irrigation is the washing of the conjunctival sac by a liquid. That means we will use some liquid form for washing the outer parts of the eye, which is lined by a eyelid, by the eyelid, and we will move to other purpose. First one is to treat the inflammatory process of conjunctivitis. That means it helps to treat the swelling part of conjunctiva which is lined by our eyelid. Second one, to apply the medication for an antiseptic effect. We will use medication for those antiseptic effect. That means there might be the growth of microorganism to the eye. There will be the bacterial contamination to the eye. For those we will apply the medication. Third one, to remove the foreign object or irritating chemicals falling in the eye. To remove the foreign object or for restricting the falling of foreign object to the eye. Fourth one is to apply the heat or cold to the eye, and the last one is to prepare for the eye surgery. Before doing any procedure, there should be the irrigation of those organs. So we will use some medication before doing any surgery or procedure. Let's move towards the solution used. Firstly, the plain water, that is a cleaning effect. Second one is normal saline, which is also used for the solution. Third one is boric acid, that is used as 2% as antiseptic, and all those acrylflavin, silver nitrate, mercurochrome, all these are used as an antiseptic only about 1%. Now, general instruction. Although eye is not a sterile organ, it is better to use a sterile technique when treating the eye, for the fear of introducing the infection into the eye and for the value of sight. That means while doing any procedure, germ-free gloves and all other materials should be used. That helps to prevent the cross infection, and all other materials which is needed for the procedure should be sterile. They should maintain the sterile technique while doing any procedure. All the articles and the solution that come in contact with the eye should be sterile. Wash hand thoroughly before and after the procedure. Before introducing any procedure, hand washing is the first steps to follow, which helps to prevent the infection. It is best to treat the both eyes separately to prevent the infection from one eye to another. Place the head tilted to the affected side, thus potential contamination of the healthy eye is prevented. It will help to prevent the infection of the another eye. That means while introducing any medication, there might be the chance for entering to the next eye. It might create the infection to the another eye. So that to prevent those infection, it is best to treat. It should be treated to the affected side. Okay, before irrigation starts, carefully clean the eyelids to remove any secretion or particles. When both eyes are to be treated, treat the least infected eye first to minimize the chances of accidentally infecting it by the infection carried from the contaminated eye. There might be the eye which is least contaminated should be treated. That means firstly the eye which is least contaminated should be treated first, and then doctor or physician should go to treat the more contaminated eye. Never direct forceful streams of solution into the eye. If the solution is high, it will flow in great force that might injure the eye. Restrict the movements of the patient when he is likely to be uncooperative. Now let's move toward the preliminary assessment that the nurse should follow before doing any procedure. Check the name, bed number and identification of the patient, and check the diagnosis and the procedure for the eye irrigation. Check the doctor's order for specific instruction regarding type of solution and the temperature at which it is to be used. Assess the patient abilities and limitation. Assess the need for any restraints. Check the articles available in the patient's unit. That means nurse should be sure about the patient name, bed number and identification, and nurse should check the diagnosis and the purpose for the irrigation. Nurse should explain the procedure before introducing the procedure towards the patient. Nurse should explain the procedure to the patient. And nurse should follow the physician instruction before administering any medication towards the patient. And the nurse should assess the patient abilities and limitation. Now, preparation of articles and units. We will discuss about the articles which are needed for the eye irrigation and its purposes. Here are the articles. First one is a rubber bulb syringe, IV bottle with IV set, an irrigating can with tubing, a medicine dropper. The size of the irrigator depends upon the amount of fluid to be used. A kidney tray and the paper bag, which is used to receive the waste. Sterile wet swabs in a bowl and a sterile dry cotton balls in a container. It helps to clean the eye before the procedure. These are the articles which are used to clean the eye before the procedure, and it helps to dry the eye after the procedure. Macintosh and towel, which helps to protect the bleeding. Transfer forceps in a sterile container. It helps to handle the sterile articles. And last one is IV stand if it is needed. It helps to adjust the height of an irrigator. Now we will discuss about the preparation of the patient and the unit. First, explain the procedure to the patient to win his confidence and cooperation. That means the nurse must explain the procedure to the patient to win his confidence and the cooperation. Second one, explain the sequence of the procedure and tell him how he can cooperate in the procedure. Nurse must explain the steps of the procedure to the patient so that he or she might win his or her confidence. Third one, have the patient lying on his bed with the head turned slightly to the side to be irrigated. Nurse should help the patient to lie down on his back. That should be comfortable. And another one, protect the patient garments and the bedding with the mackintosh and a towel. Patient personal belongings should be protected with the bleeding with the help of mackintosh and the towel. And the last one is arrange the light in a way to provide the adequate line and light and, if appropriate, to hold the key needed to receive the return flow. Now we will move towards its procedure and its purposes. First one is hand washing. Hand washing helps to prevent the cross infection during the procedure. Another one is clean the eyelid and eyelashes using the wet swabs. Wipe the lid from the inner corner using one swipe from one stroke. That means those wet swabs helps to prevent the infection and used to prevent the dust particles carried to conjunctiva of the eye. And cleaning from the inner corner to the outer corner prevents the collection of secretion at the inner corner of the eye. Yes, cleaning from the inner eye to the inner corner to the outer corner helps to prevent the collection of the secretion at the inner corner of the eye. Then after, irrigate the eye using an appropriate irrigator. Adjust the flow of liquid by adjusting the height of an irrigator using clamps for the tubing. If the fluid is directed forcefully into the eyes, it can injure the soft tissue of the eye. That means flow of the liquid should be accurate, otherwise it might create the injury inside the eye or outside the eye. So that to prevent the infection or create the injury into the eye, flow of liquid should be accurate. Another one, then ask the patient to close the eye and allow a small amount of fluid to run over the lid. It will help to reassure the patient that the solution is not very hot. Hold the eyelid open by separating the eyelid gently with thumb and forefingers of the left hand. When opening the eyelid, don't apply pressure on the eyeball but press against the cheek and eyebrow. That means while holding the eyelid, more pressure should not be given. If force is exerted on the eyelids, it can cause spastic classic of the eyelid and will make irrigation difficult. Spastic classic, that means a condition of the body that makes it difficult to control. That means a patient may not able to control the eyelid while irrigating the medication to the eye. And next, and then after, hold the nozzle of the irrigator about 2 cm above the eyes and allow the fluid to run into the conjunctival sac. That means the nozzle of the irrigator should be held above the eye. It should not touch the eye. That may cause the infection. Precaution is taken not to touch the eye with an irrigator. Then after, direct the flow of fluid from the inner canthus to the outer canthus. Ask the patient to look up while irrigating the inner part of the upper lid is irrigated. That means the directing the flow of liquid from inner canthus to the outer will prevent forcing the infection to the nasolacrimal duct, those duct which helps to secrete our tears. Directing the streams of fluid to different parts of the eyeball ensures through cleansing of the eye. Then irrigate the eye until the desired effect is achieved. And last one, repeat the procedure on the other side if necessary. That means if necessary, the procedure should be repeated time and again. Now we will discuss about the procedure that should be taken by the nurse after the care of the patient and the articles. First one, wipe the discharge if any coming out from the eyelid, and it should be cleaned carefully and smoothly. Secondly, inspect the eyes from the effect of the irrigation if the irrigation was carried out to treat the inflammatory condition. And then instill the eye drops or ointment if ordered, and apply dressings if ordered. Next, take all articles to the utility room, clean and replace them to their proper places. Then wash hand. Record the procedure on the nurse record with date and time, and record the solution used, medication instilled, the condition of the eye before and after the procedure, and then repeat the procedure at the specific interval. That means nurse should take care of all the materials after finishing the procedure to the patient. They should apply the dressings if it is ordered. If the physician order to apply the dressings or to apply the any ear drops or ointment, nurse should be responsible to take care all the articles to the respective places, utility room, it might be the utility room, or and replace them to the proper places. and this will be this will also be the responsible to record the procedure with date, time, and what are the solutions used for the medication, and what is the condition of the eye before and after the procedure. Now we will discuss about the instillation. An instillation is defined as a process by which a liquid medication is introduced into the cavity drop by drop. Yes, mostly the ophthalmic patient may require the installation of eye drop in preparation of surgery. Various ophthalmic patient use the eye drops either maybe it in liquid or it is in ointment. Sterile technique is required whenever there is a break in a continuity of skin and mucous membrane. Yes, in every procedure or doing any procedure, sterile technique is very important. That helps to prevent the cross infection, that prevents the growth of microorganism in that area. Now we will introduce the eye instillation. An eye instillation is defined as process by which a liquid medication is introduced into the cavity drop by drop. It might be instilled in the form of in the drop of eye drops or ointment. It is in eye drops or ointment. Mostly the patient prefers to use the liquid rather than the ointments because it is easy to administer the medication. There are the various solutions that are used as the eye drops. Some are explained over here. First one is atropine, that is used to dilate the pupil. Iserine, 0.5%, which is used to contract the pupil. Adrenaline, 1/1000%, it is used to check the bleeding. Silver nitrate, 1 to 2% as an antiseptic and especially used to gonococcal infection. Mercurochrome, 1 to 2% as an antiseptic. Boric acid, 2 to 4% as an antiseptic. Novocaine and cocaine, it is used as local anesthetic. Taramycin and soframycin, it is used as antibiotic. Bet eye ointment, it is used as anti-infective and anti-inflammatory. Various use of eye drops are used as antiseptic, that used to helps to prevent the growth of bacterial or microorganism in the part of eye. It helps to prevent the growth of microorganism. It is also used as the local anesthetic. Now, purposes. First one is to treat the infection. Medication are used to treat the infection. Second one, to instill the medication before examination or surgery of eye. To lubricate the eye. Medication are applied to minimize the friction and allow the smooth movement during the surgery or doing any procedure. Fourth one, to stain the cornea for identifying abrasion and scars. Abrasion are the scratch to the surface of the eye. It is the redness, it is the feeling like foreign body in the eye. And scars are the deep scratches or burns inside the eye. So those medication are used to identify the scratches on the cornea or the scars inside the eye. Now we will talk about the articles. First, sterile gloves, sterile cotton balls soaked in sterile normals. Medication, dry cotton balls, dry sterile dressing pad and paper tapes. A kidney tray. Paper tapes are helpful to close the eyelid and it will help to protect the cornea and keep it moist. Now, discussing about the general instruction. Be certain that you have the right patient, right medication at the right eye. Check the doctor's order to see what medication is to be instilled. That means the nurse should be identified or they should be shared about the right patient, right medication and the right eye. They should be confirmed about the medication that they are giving the right medication to the patient. And check the expiry date of the medication. Never supply any medication with the date of expiry already over. Nurse should be known about the expiry date and manufacturing date of medication. They should not supply any medication with the date of expiry. Never use any eye drops which are discolored, cloudy and precipitated. Nurse should be ascertain about the color of the eye drops, cloudy, whether it is harmful to the patient or not. Ophthalmic solutions should be sterile and are prevented from contamination during the preparation and administration. All the medication which are used for the patients should be sterile. Neither substitute a medication of one strength with that of another without without permission. We neither substitute a medication of one strength with that of another without permission of doctor. Never use any solution or ointment which are on label to instill in the eye. Nurse should not substitute a medication without the permission of physician. They should not mix the medication. They should not take the medication with one place to another place with the permission of the doctor. Now we will move towards the procedure and its purposes. What are the nursing actions that should be taken by the nurse? First, nurse should identify the patient and they should assess the patient for allergy to medication, lesions exudate, erythema or swelling. That which helps to identify the contraindication for instillation of medication into the eye. Nurse should be known about whether the patient eye had adverse red due to the illness or not, or whether there is any swelling swelling out of the eye or inner the eye. And location, nurse should identify the patient location and nature of any discharge, level of consciousness and willingness to cooperate the patient. Nurse should cooperate the patient and they should record the location. They should know about the location and nature of any discharge. Nurse should know about the patient knowledge about the medication. Nurse should identify the patient knowledge about the medication, whether they are known about or not. Nurse should check the medication order. They should check the order, strength and number of drops, frequency of instillation of medication. Nurse should know how much drops that they should give, or frequency of instillation of medication that will help to prevent the medication error to the patient. And third one, prepare the patient for treatment. Check the identification, name, explain the procedure and explain the sitting position to the patient. It will help to reduce the anxiety of the patient error and prevents the accidental injury during the procedure, during doing any procedure. Wash hands. Hand washing helps to reduce the spread of pathogens. It helps to prevents the spread of infection. Clean the eyelid and eyelashes and use sterile cotton web and wipe from inner canthus to outer canthus. Cleaning eyelid and eyelashes helps to prevent the secretion on eyelid, and cleaning towards the outer canthus prevent the contamination entering into the outer eye and lacrimal duct. Cotton webs helps to prevent the secretion of eyelid, and cleaning towards the outer canthus, it helps to cross-infect the infection. It helps to prevent the cross-infection. It helps to enter the contaminated medication to the another healthy eye. So that sterile cotton web and wipe it should be wiped from inner canthus to the outer canthus. Another one is administer the eye medication. Nurse should be responsible to check the ophthalmic preparation for name, strength, expiry date and number of drops of the medication, which helps to prevent the medication error. And another one, instruct the patient to look up to the ceiling, which helps to blink the eye to the patient. It helps to prevent the blinking of the eye of the patient. In this position, the cornea is protected by the upper lid. A cotton ball can be used to wipe off excess ointment and drop from eyelashes after instillation. After instilling the medication to the eye, if there is any if there is any excess ointment after the installation, web are used to wipe out the excess ointment. Another one is expose the lower conjunctival sac by placing thumb or fingers of non-dominant hand just below the eye on the zygomatic arc and gently draw down the skin on the cheek. Placing of thumb should be by the non-dominant hand and it should not be pressful. Placing finger on the bony prominence avoids pressure to the eyeball and prevents the person from blinking. Another one is liquid medication. Discard the first drop of medication and approach the eye from the side and instill the correct number of drops onto the outer third of lower conjunctiva, holding the dropper 1 to 2 cm above the eye. The first drop is considered to be contaminated, so the first drop of medication should be discarded so that it could not create infection to the patient. Patient is less likely to blink if a side patient will prevent to blink the eye often and time. The dropper should be above 1 to 2 centimeter above the eye. It should not touch the eye, which may create the infection to the eye. And nurse should be aware about the number of drops which should be instilled into the outer third of the lower conjunctiva, which may not create the infection. They should aware about the number of drops. And for the eye ointment, nurse should discard the first bead of ointment and hold the tip above conjunctival sac. Squeeze 2 cm of ointment from tube into the lower conjunctival sac from the inner canthus. And another one, instruct the patient to press on nasolacrimal duct for at least 30 seconds and clean the eyelid as needed by wiping from inner to outer canthus. Nurse should instruct the patient to press the nasolacrimal duct. Nurse should cooperate the patient to press the nasolacrimal duct at least for 30 seconds and clean the eyelid as needed by wiping. Pressure prevents the medication running down the duct and prevents spread of organism into the lacrimal duct. And the one, apply an eye pad if needed and instruct the patient not to rub the eye. Nurse should instruct the patient after instilling the medication they should not rub the eye, otherwise it may create the redness to the eye or it may create any infection. It helps to reduce the risk of injury. Assess the patient response, replace medication and wash hand. Nurse should be responsible about the patient response after the medication, after doing any procedure, and replace the medication into their proper places and do hand washing. Here now we will move towards the air irrigation. First of all, definition. Air irrigation is the washing of the external auditory canal with the stream of liquid. It involves the insertion of liquid into the ear to flush out the earwax out. It is the method of ear cleansing which is used to remove the earwax. Now we will move towards the purposes. It is used to remove the earwax, which is also known as cerumen. It is a grey waxy substance secreted in the ear canal. It is used to remove the foreign bodies. And another purpose, to cleanse the ear in case of purulent discharge caused in the middle infection. Purulent discharge means the full of pus. That means it is the thin and watery drainage contains blood, which is known as purulent discharge, which comes out from the ear canal. Another, for an antiseptic effect, to apply the heat. To evaluate vestibular function, that means it helps to evaluate the sense of balance and coordinate movement of the ear. Example, it is evaluated by using a thermal caloric. Now solution used. There are various solutions which are used for ear irrigation. First one is boric acid 2 to 4%, sodium bicarbonate solution used as 1%, normal saline, hydrogen peroxide %, and last one is plain water. Now let's move towards the general instruction. First of all, nurse should explain the procedure to the patient to win his confidence and cooperation. The most important thing is nurse should explain the procedure to the patient. And second one, a nurse should straighten the external auditory canal by holding the patient ear upward and backward in case of adult and pull it downward and backward in case of children. Third, when irrigating the ear, direct the stream of solution and wall of external auditory canal and never approach tympanic membrane to prevent damage to it when it causes deafness. Nurse should be aware about, while irrigating the ear direct to the stream, the auditory canal should be extended, but they should aware about extending the tympanic membrane. It may damage or which may cause deafness to the patient. And irrigation should be given in the minimum amount of pressure because it provides a continuous flow of fluid, and the pressure of the fluid also can be controlled by adjusting the height of the can and by application of clamps. The reservoir should not be 6 inches or 15 cm above from the level of the ear. While irrigating the medication to the patient, the height of the can also be adjusted with the help of clamps, with the help of reservoir. It should not be adjusted above the 6 inches or 15 cm, or so that it might create the damage to the ear, or it might cause any infection to the patient. So nurse must be aware about it. Watch the patient for the symptoms of vertigo. If this occurs, the irrigation should be discontinued. Nurse should be aware about the symptoms of the patient of the vertigo. Use sterile equipment. Nurse must use the germ-free equipments, technique, gloves, any materials while doing any procedure. Always do the procedure in an adequate light. It is very necessary while doing any procedure. Now discussing about the nursing responsibility in ear irrigation. First, nurse should check the name, bed number and other identification of the patient. Then check the diagnosis and purpose of the ear irrigation, and also check the doctor's order. Nurse should also check the physician order as the specific instruction regarding the type of solution, whether it is right type or not, or to be used, and the movement of the patient. Then nurse should assess the patient abilities and limitation, and also the patient mental state to follow the instruction. Nurse should ascertain whether the infection is due to hygroscopic substances which attract and absorb moisture, in which case the ear irrigation should not be carried out because the substance absorb water and swells and produce intense pain. Nurse should assess whether when after irrigating the ear, whether the substance is absorbing the watery substance, or whether it is becoming a hard substance that may create somehow pain to the patient. Examine the ear for any perforation to the tympanic membrane by using an otoscope. Nurse should examine whether there is a ruptured eardrum, which can result in hair lossing, or it can also make your middle ear vulnerable to infection. The nurse should aware about the infection, whether it is in tympanic membrane. It should be examined by using an otoscope. Check whether one or both ear are to be irrigated or not, whether it is only one ear it is to be irrigated or not. Check the articles available in the patient unit. Now discussing about the preparation of article. What are the articles used for the ear irrigation and its purposes? First of all, a rubber bulb syringe, a metal syringe which should be used only one of the following as an irrigator. Even though the auditory canal is not a sterile cavity, sterile techniques are used to prevent the introducing infection into the middle ear. The auditory canal is not considered as a sterile cavity, which is not a germs free, microorganisms free. So for introducing the infection into the middle ear, sterile techniques should be introduced for the procedure. Sterile jaws with extra fluid if it is necessary. The kidney tray and paper bag to receive the waste. Sterile gauze piece or cotton ball in the container. It helps to plug, which helps to plug the air at the end of the procedure to absorb the solution. Sterile gauze piece are used at the end of the procedure if there is any discharge from the air to absorb the solution. Cotton application in the container. It helps to clean the external auditory canal and to remain any discharge present. Macintosh and towel. It helps to protect the bearing. Transfer forceps in the sterile container. It helps to handle the sterile supplies. IV stand. It is used to adjust the height of the irrigation. Spotlight. It is used to visualize the ear cavity. Now moving towards the preparation of the patient and the environment. First of all, nurse should explain the procedure to the patient to win his confidence, and then make the patient to sit on a chair and lean back on the chair and place the Macintosh and towel under the head to protect the bleeding. That means the nurse should help the patient to sit on a chair and lean back on a chair and place the Macintosh and towel on the head to protect the bleeding. Third one, place the kidney tray under the ear to be irrigated. To receive the waste materials, ask the patient to adjust the position of the kidney tray. Nurse should cooperate the patient to patient to adjust the position of the kidney tray against the neck to receive the return flow, so that it will be helpful to receive the waste materials from the ear. Arrange the enough light and the articles conveniently for the procedure. If the patient is child, restrain the movements to prevent any interference. Nurse should be aware to prepare the enough light and the articles conveniently for the procedure. Now let's move towards the procedure. What are the steps will be taken during the ear irrigation and its revision? First of all, wash hand to prevent the cross infection. Second, clean the pinna of the ear and the external auditory canal with the cotton application dipped into the cleaning solution. First of all, nurse should clean the pinna of the ear and the external auditory canal with the help of cotton, so that any discharge present in that area will not be flushed into the middle ear. So it will not be go inside the ear and create any infection inside the ear. Thirdly, irrigate the ear using an appropriate irrigator. Draw the solution into the syringe and expel the air by holding it vertically. If air is introduced into the ear, it will produce loud sound and cause discomfort to the patient. Whether there nurse should identify whether there is air into the syringe or not. Otherwise, it will produce loud sound which may be discomfort to the patient. If an irrigating can is used, adjust the height of the can not more than 6 inches above the level of the ear. Open the clamp and expel the air from the tubing. Adjusting the height of can help to regulate the flow of fluid. The height of the can should be adjusted more than 6 inches, not below the 6 inches. Otherwise, there will be fluctuation during the regulation of the flow of fluid. Then test the temperature of the solution on the inner aspect of the wrist. The temperature variation between the fluid and body temperature causes vertigo. Nurse should identify the temperature of the solution on the inner aspect. Otherwise the temperature variation between the fluid and the body temperature may cause vertigo, which means it is the range of dizziness, or it is the condition when there is problem with inner ear brain and a sensory nerve. Then straighten the ear canal by pulling the pinna of the ear upward and backward. A straight auditory canal will allow fluid to reach up to the tympanic membrane to allow the visualization of the entire canal. Straightening the ear canal helps to visualize the entire canal. Place the tip of the syringe or tip of the nozzle at the opening of the canal, but do not block the canal. Tip of the syringe should be placed or tip of the nozzle at the opening of the canal. Do not be blocked. It will help to allow for the return flow, or it should be given to return flow the any discharge and come back to the kidney tray. Allow a small amount of fluid to run over the pinna of the ear to reassure the patient that the solution is not very hot. First of all, a small amount of fluid should be administered over the pinna of the ear, whether it is hot or not. To administer whether it is hot or not, direct the flow towards the lateral wall of the auditory canal. Allow a steady and continuous flow of fluid into the auditory canal. Exert gentle pressure in case of syringe. Now, if the fluid is directed straight onto the tympanic membrane, it may cause perforation due to undue force. The force of fluid should not damage the eardrum. The flow of fluid should be accurate, otherwise it may cause some damage to the eardrum. It should be directed straight into the tympanic membrane, otherwise it may cause perforation. If the fluid is directed straight onto the tympanic membrane, otherwise it may cause perforation. Then lastly, irrigate the ear till the desired effect is achieved. Now discussing what are the procedures should be taken after the care of the patient. Nurse should turn the patient to the affected side so that the drainage from the ear is facilitated. Patient should be turned to the affected side. Then plug the ear loosely with the gauze piece to collect the drainage. Then dry the skin in and around the ear and instill the medication if it is ordered. Remove the mackintosh and towel from under the head and make the patient comfortable. Mackintosh and towel should be removed and the patient should be made comfortable. Collect all the articles used for the irrigation and take them to utility room. Clean them in a cold water and then with warm soapy water. After the completion of the procedure, the nurse will collect all the articles and the materials used during the procedure and take them to the respective room and all the materials will be cleaned in a cold water and then with the soapy water. Then wash hand, record the treatment with date and time and record the type of solution used, the effect of the treatment. Return to the patient to assess the condition after the treatment. Now we are moving towards the ear installation. Ear installation. First definition. Ear installation is a process of introducing the Vedic medication or other liquid into the ear canal. These medications are introduced uh, to prevent the to reduce the ear infection. To prevent the ear infection or to remove the earwax. For those procedure or while doing the procedure, proper care is needed to delivering such liquid into the ear. Now, purpose to combat the infection, to reduce the infection or to prevent the infection, those medications are introduced. To soften the earwax. Earwax are those hardy substances which may create the pain to the patient. So, to soften the earwax, those medications are introduced. To produce the local anesthesia and to reduce the pain in the ear. To kill an insect lodged in the auditory canal. Now general instruction. First of all, the auditory canal should be thoroughly cleaned before installing the ear drops. Nurse should clean the auditory canal thoroughly before installing any ear drops to the patient. Drops must be warm, otherwise, when they are instilled into the ear, it may cause vertigo. Nurse should be conscious about the drops, whether it is warm or cold or hot. Otherwise, patient may feel dizziness. There may be the problem in their ear. Place the patient in a side lying position or in a dorsal recumbent position with the head. Patient should be placed in a side lying position so that it will be helpful in while administering the medication to the patient. Turn to one side with the affected ear uppermost. Allow 3 or 4 drops trickle down on one side of the canal that the air may escape from the auditory canal and the medication may reach up to the eardrum. Only 3 or 4 drops trickles should be allowed on only one side of the canal so that air may escape from the auditory canal and medication may reach to the eardrum. Then nurse should ask the patient to remain in the same position. Patients should not move from one position to another position. They should remain in the same position, otherwise medication may not reach to the desired part. Plug the ear with a small cotton ball or a small gauze piece. Any complaints made by the patient should not be ignored. Nurse should not be ignored. Any complaint made by the patient, they should make focus on the patient complaint and the patient condition after the procedure. Now discussing about the procedure taken during the administering the medication. Firstly, nurse will assess for the allergy, redness, and abrasion specific drug action ability to cooperate during procedure. If the patient is allergic for any medication or any abrasion, nurse should cooperate with the patient so that it can identify the contraindication for the installation. Check the medication order for the name, dose, time, amount, which can reduce the risks of medication. Then explain the procedure, the purpose of medication and position to assume. Nurse should explain the procedure purpose to the patient and the position. What is the position should be hold during administering any medication so that it can reduce the anxiety and promote cooperation, and assist the patient to a side lying position and clean meters of the ear canal using cotton tipped application. Patients should be assisted to stay in the side lying position and clean the meters of the canal so that it can remove any discharge before the installation. Fill eardropper partially with medication and straighten auditory canal, and for child under 3 years pull pinna down and back. For above 3 years pull pinna upward and backward. Under the 3 years straighten auditory canal, pull pinna down and backward, and above 3 years pull pinna upward and backward. Straightening the canal can ensure solution to follow the entire length of the canal. Insist correct number of drops. Nurse should be assessed for the correct number of drops along side of air canal by holding the dropper 1 cm or half inch above the air canal, which can reduce the trauma to tympanic membrane. So nurse should be assist about the correct number of drops so that it can reduce the bleeding from the ear or a hearing loss. Press gently and firmly a few times on a tragus of the ear. That means press gently in the inner side of the external ear. Pressing on the tragus assists follow of medication into the ear canal. It will help to pass the medication in easily into the ear canal. And then instruct the patient to remain in side lying position for 5 minutes and insert a small piece of cotton flap loosely at the meatus of auditory canal for 15 to 20 minutes. Nurse should assist the patient to remain in a side-lying position up to 5 minutes. Then it will help to prevent drop from escaping out, and cotton helps to retain the medication when patient is upright, and if it pressed tightly the cotton will interfere with the action of drug and movement of secretion. That means if the cotton is pressed tightly, it will interfere with the drug action and movement of the secretion. Then nurse should assess for the patient comfort and response, and the nurse should